Okay, good morning. Today is September 2nd. It's about 11:30 in the morning. I want to talk a little bit about Hurricane Dorian in eastern North Carolina, specifically in Carteret County. Uh, I really want to show why the whole entire county needs to prepare for a Category 2 storm coming within Beaufort and 20 miles of Cape Lookout. And I say a Category 2, it's forecast to be a Category 1, but I need people to pay attention to the fact that during Hurricane Florence, we did not get the eye wall of Hurricane Florence. The storm came within 20 miles of Cape Lookout, stalled, and then turned. And of course, when she turned, she scraped the entire county with the right upper quadrant. And it was pretty devastating, even though she was a mid level Category 1. With Dorian, she's coming in at a different angle. And while we'll probably get the left hand side of the storm, which is the weakest point, I want to point out on this latest track, you see that Dorian is going to be about 20 miles off of Cape Lookout. However, in this graphic, I want you to note where Carteret County is. There is not much wiggle room there. One wobble, one deviation, just a lazy moment where she decides to stay on track where she was supposed to turn, and this storm could very well come in as a strong Category 1, possibly a small Category 2 landfall, and that would mean greater effects than we saw with Hurricane Florence, especially if the eye came right in over, let's say, anywhere from Emerald Isle to Beaufort. We would have much greater effects on the county than we saw with Hurricane Florence. Although this will be a much shorter duration event, the initial impact will be very significant. So right now, everybody's wondering where it's going to go, and it depends on what your definition of where it's going to go. If you're talking about the eye, right now it's forecast for 20 miles off of Cape Lookout. The models are showing a little bit closer into Shackelford Island and Beaufort, but we have to go with the official track. If you're talking about cumulative effects, entire Carteret County is going to experience at least Category 1, small Category 1 effects from this storm, even if it stays on its current track and does indeed go 20 miles off the coast. But if it makes some kind of a deviation right there where that H is, or maybe even up here around Wilmington, you're not going to have time to respond to those changes. Let's say it comes up in here where the H is right now in South Carolina, and it's still a Category 2, and it just has some kind of a deviation around Wilmington, Swansboro even, just a short little jog to the west. We're going to get the eye wall, and that will be a much, much, much different storm than what this current track is. So because of the slant of North Carolina, it does not take much deviation to change landfall or no landfall to, 60 miles. Just any deviation at all means a 60-mile different landfall possibility. With that being said, I think it's best for everybody to prepare for a landfall in Carteret County of a Category 2 storm, and that way everybody's prepared that if it's a small Category 1 and it definitely goes 20 miles out, then it'll be it's better to be safe than sorry. So here's the current GFS. I'm sorry, this is the 6 a.m. GFS. The next GFS comes out at 12 o'clock. It's 11:33 now. I'll put that on the Facebook page when it comes out. The Euro or ECMWF comes out at 12 o'clock, but it doesn't finish running till about 3. So as you can see, Dorian comes up, parallels the Florida coast. I don't know what's going on here. Let me refresh this page. All right. So she comes up, leaves the Bahamas. Now, as she leaves the Bahamas and gets about midway up into Florida, I don't know if the website's down or what here. Let me refresh one more time. I don't know what's going on here, but anyway, as this storm goes up around the Georgia-Florida line, it's going to get weaker, but the wind field is going to expand significantly. Hurricane winds will extend out 60, 70 miles. So even if she does hit Cape Lookout or even 20 miles off of Cape Lookout, where Carteret County is still going to get hurricane force winds at a much shorter duration than Florence. I don't know why this is not moving past that. Maybe the new model. Yeah, it started running. Let me go back to the 6 o'clock model, and that way we can take a look at it. So it's going to come up from Florida. The GFS has it pretty close, but still offshore. You can see the 959 millibar reading. It comes in and just barely hugs the coast. And then that is a direct strike between Beaufort and Cape Lookout as a 971 storm. That is on the border of Category 1, Category 2. So that's why it's best. The models are saying Beaufort. The NHC is saying 20 miles off of Cape Lookout. There is just no wiggle room. I mean, just a little bit of wiggle room. And I think everybody just needs to prepare for a Category 2 landfall in Carteret County with the entire upper quadrant scraping the county again. Anyway, join us on Facebook, Twitter. I'm going to post a link later to the page I've built that'll have disaster recovery and relief links. I encourage people to go to the page, use the comment section. During the storm, after the storm, we saw in Florence a whole bunch of first responder people offering free food, free water, supplies. Put them on that page, and I'll add them to the page. And hopefully people will get the information out. And so tell me your comments, either on Twitter, on Facebook, or on the web page that I'm fixing to post. And I hope y'all will continue to watch this storm.